This is a big week for economic data. Let's talk about the job revisions and Jackson Hole today on the Weekly Update. Okay, friends, let's talk about massive job revisions. Here's what you need to know. First up, we've got a big week for economic data. Job revisions just came out today, and Jackson Hole is coming on Friday. And that's typically, the Fed's speech where he talks about, Jay Powell is going to talk about future interest rate cuts, how they're seeing the economy. So typically it's a market moving day. But let's talk about the data for today. This was the largest revision since the global financial crisis. Basically, the BLS came out and said, hey, almost 1 million jobs, 818,000 jobs that we thought we had in the economy aren't there. And so this is a revision to the economic data. This is a normal process, happens every year. What is unusual about this revision is this is the largest since the global financial crisis. And so, if you remember, when we talk on the channel, we talk a lot about how, the economy's slowing down and these sorts of things we're seeing in corporate results. And so what this tells us, this is just sort of a confirmation about the slowdown in the economy. But I don't want to be too hasty. I actually don't think this is as big of a deal. If you look at headlines right now, if you look at what's going on in the market, they're treating this as if it's a really big deal. I actually don't think it is, and here's why. One of the reasons why the revision is so big is I think that the Fed's models that they use to estimate population sizes and employment, I think it's somewhat been broken a little bit post-pandemic. And here's one of the ways I think it's been broken. I think it's been broken by the rise of gig work. So one of the inputs that goes into, the BLS birth-death model and all this sort of stuff that sort of gives our estimates for how many jobs there are, is business formation. And what we've seen post-pandemic, here's business formation. This is just accommodations and food service. This is just one aspect of it. I actually got this chart from Mike Green. He does some fantastic work. But what you see here is post-pandemic, we saw, an explosion of accommodation and food service business creation, something that we haven't seen. I mean, this goes all the way back to 2006, right? So this was a post-pandemic phenomenon. What is happening here? Well, if you look around, you'll notice that there aren't a whole bunch of new restaurants everywhere, certainly not mom and pop restaurants. So what's actually happening here is, I believe this is gig work, I believe this is Door Dashers, and what they're doing is they're establishing EINs, employer identification numbers, for the purposes of establishing an LLC, so that they can get tax deductions for their businesses. Now, as all this data, all this business creation flows into the BLS's models, this all of a sudden they say, wow, look at all these businesses. Of course, we're going to have a huge amount of employment. What they don't realize is, these really aren't businesses. It's kind of sole proprietors, and they're really only establishing for tax purposes. And so the way that this impacts the number, it tells us, wow, we're expecting to have a tremendous amount of jobs. And then later on, they have to revise the number down as they say, there actually aren't as many jobs as we thought, because these people aren't really businesses in any real sense of the word. If you look at how the market is taking this, it's kind of amazing. The market has never traded on a BLS revision, pretty much ever, right? This is weird, sort of like wonky financial stuff that we're talking about here. But if you look at the market today, as soon as the number came out, 1 million jobs didn't exist, it was very positive for the market. And I think what the market is thinking there is that, the economy is weaker than we're anticipating. And so what that means is rate cuts are going to come faster and harder than we were anticipating. And that's going to be positive for the market. There's going to be more economic stimulus. And then as the market thought better about it, now they're taking the other side and they're saying, the economy is weaker than we thought. And now we're trading, as of right now, we're basically back to flat. I don't think any of this excitement is necessary. I don't think this data point is that important. But we're talking about it today because you're going to see, the 1 million jobs disappearing pretty much everywhere. So what does it mean? Massive job revisions. Well, today the BLS released their largest negative revision to payroll since the financial crisis. 818,000 jobs, revised down. I believe this is a result of the rise of gig work, so I really don't think it means that much. And I don't think this data revision is actionable. We're seeing a lot of trading in the market, but I think that's primarily because we're in the doldrums of summer, low volume trading, et cetera. But I will say that this probably influences Jay Powell's comments on Friday at Jackson Hole, right? One of the things that the Fed has been talking about is they're saying, hey, the job market is weakening here, and we've got to pay attention to that. So I think that's good. That's positive for the market. And then finally, of course, this is very consistent with this economic storm that we're in right now. Right now, it's really more of an economic sprinkle, but we don't know how bad it's going to get. So I'm not surprised to see this revision. I think that's totally normal. It could be consistent with a soft landing if that's what we're going to get. And I think, we're going to hear more about this on Friday as Jay Powell starts to talk about the rate cutting cycle that we're going to see. So there you go. That's the number. I'll see you this weekend for a markets review. Take care. Okay, friends, that was the video. Hope you liked it. If you found it informative, good, entertaining, I'd love if you could scroll down here beneath the video and give me a like there. It helps us out with the algorithm. And then if you want to be notified first of anything new that we upload to the channel, if you come over here, click subscribe, you'll be the first to know as soon as we upload anything. Appreciate it. See you soon.